Hey y'all. So here on Draped in Film is where I break down costumes and I explore the story told through costumes in film. And if you watch a couple of my videos, you'll notice that I tend to focus on older movies, specifically the 80s, 90s, and 2000s era. And there's a reason for that. It's the era that I grew up in. And so that's when my obsession in with films began, watching those movies and looking at the costumes, looking at the characters, and just looking at everything film related. That's when it all began. So a lot of my references, even to this day, comes back from that era and beyond, because there weren't any streaming services, so you had to pretty much watch what was on TV. So a lot of times they were a lot of movies that would be played would be older movies that were from 70s, 60s, 50s.
Swinging floozy rolling around to work in time for lunch.
Broompuss, you make sounds I don't like.
I'm telling the foreman unit is late again.
You do that, now scratch out the one good eye you got left.
Hey, Carver.
Black and white and very old films. So a lot of my references and a lot of my memories come back from that time. So that's when my obsession began, and that's why I tend to focus on those films.
The wind's blowing me in another direction. Ain't no use arguing with the wind.
I did do Wicked, so there's that. But that goes along with my obsession with The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz. And Wicked ties into that because it's the same world. And Wicked, the second part is coming out the end of the year. But anyways, yeah. So I will get into newer movies, but I feel like I have to get all of this out first because I'm obsessed with I still to this day I still watch a lot of the older movies.
I made my decision.
Good. I'm glad you made up your mind so quickly.
Oh, very quick in a slow way. You see, I can't discuss it over the phone. It's got a lot of angles to it. You better come up and see me.
Fashion magazines and runway shows played a role into, my influences into costume design, although fashion and costume design are separate worlds. I feel like today it's more intertwined, but it's still considered separate. But when I think about when my real obsession came from, when I really got into films and you should just sit there and watch it, I think back to my childhood growing up. There was, in the living room, one TV and the man who ruled the almighty remote control, and that would be my father. And growing up, there were no streaming services. There was just one cable box. There was just one, usually it was just one TV that had the cable box, and it was the one TV that had color. So everybody wanted to watch that TV, but if my father was home, he had control of the remote. And so if his New York Yankees wasn't playing, if baseball wasn't on, and I swear to you, it feels like baseball is always on. It was on all the time. It felt like it was on 24/7. It's like, when does this end? But and if baseball wasn't playing, then he will be watching wrestling. Gotta watch his wrestling. Wrestling. That's how he used to say it. Wrestling. My wrestling on. But be watching wrestling, and so I love, and then we would join in because we watched wrestling too. It was we were kids, so wrestling was kind of fun for us. So you would watch the characters such as Junkyard Dog, and when Junkyard Dog used to come out when his theme music used to come on. It was just like it sounded like Another One Bites the Dust in a way, but it was Junkyard Dog, and he would do his dance and bring the kids up on the in the ring after he won, and just bring him to do his like little dance. And then there was also like Hulk Hogan. Who didn't love Hulk Hogan? We loved Hulk Hogan, and characters like Iron Sheik.
Welcome back to Boston.
Thank you very much, Jin Min. I respect your intelligence, and I know Boston, Massachusetts.
And then Macho Man, of course.
I got powers, yeah. I feel the power now. I feel the power right there, big man.
Sure, it
yeah.
wasn't a hit over the head, Macho Man.
Oh, no, man. I'm all right. I've never been better, yeah.
And my father was the type that he was a character, he will always imitate you and like do that character. I'm the same way in a sense because I like to poke fun of people and I like to do characters. It's just my humor. I love to joke around. Oh no, man. I'm okay. I've never been better. I'm all right. And so from the A Team to Dynasty to the Cosby Show, our family would gather around the TV. But what left the biggest impression on me were the weekend night movies, especially the action films. James Bond was always in heavy rotation, and I swear I wanted to be a Bond girl so bad because they were the pretty girls, they were mysterious, and the fashion was always on point. Like accessories, everything. They were always classy, sophisticated. It was their outfits were always fly. And of course, watching the Bond films, we would quote the impeccable, what am I talking about? We would quote the infamous Bond, James Bond, over and over. Even like we'll be places and like, what's your name? Bond, James Bond, because we were kids. Why wouldn't we do that? And then those were the action films, so that influenced like I want to I love comedies, I love action films, I action film comedies, horror thrillers, action thrillers, drama. If it's not too, I like dramas if it is not too what is the word that I'm trying to think of, y'all? Traumatic. That is the word. Traumatic. I don't know if you guys remember, well, I don't know, for those of you old enough to remember, there was a made for TV movie, I believe, and it was called The Women's of Brewster Place. Now to compare it, I will compare it to For Color Girls, whatever. I never watched For Color Girls because I felt like when I used to watch the preview, the trailer, it kind of brought me back to the Women's of Brewster Place, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that to myself. Women's of Brewster's Place kind of traumatized me as a kid, so I didn't want to watch For Color Girls. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the movie, but I'll post it, so y'all know what I'm talking about. But I remember the comedies that my father loved. That to this day, I watch these films over and over again. It was like Airplane.
That honky must be messing my old lady. Got to be running coal upside down his head, you know?
Hey, home, I can dig it. No, he ain't gonna lay no more big rap up on you, man.
Caddyshack, Cool Runnings, and The Gods Must Be Crazy. And there was countless others. Like I could even like throw in Lethal Weapon. There's so many movies. And I believe when I started to watch horror films, I think that's when I started to realize like that it wasn't just people on the screen. Like behind, there's people on the screen, but like there may be people around that created what's going on that we're watching. Because I remember specifically one night we watched what is it, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I I haven't watched that movie in years, but I just watched it, just to get reference for this video. And oh yeah, but but I remember watching it, and watching it is so funny because to this day, I remember we were watching it, and that day we ordered Chinese food, and I guess we were eating General Chow's because my sister said that to this day she still cannot eat General Chow's chicken because of that movie, because we were watching it as we were eating our food. But whatever. But I remember watching it, and I remember I made it like a comment like, ugh, like yuck. And I remember my father saying like, yeah, that's he's like, yeah, exactly. Yuck. That's, that's just makeup. That's just costumes. That's, it's whatever. And he was breaking that down for me. And that's when I started to like, oh, okay. Like, that's when it started like connecting the dots. Like, there's somebody responsible for how these people look on screen. And like, there's props, and there's, other things involved. It's not just the people on the screen. I mean, I know he broke it down just because he didn't want us to be scared, because he didn't want us to be scared enough to like where we'll jump in the bed with him him and my mom, because if we got scared, well, I that was never to me, once I remember there was a movie I wanted to watch, and he said, no, you can't watch it because you're gonna get scared and jump in our bed in the middle of the night. And I'm like, that's not me. That's not me that's jumping in the bed. Like, and he'll realize, like, I'm like, that's my sister. That's Tamara. And he started to understand, like, yeah, that is her. So he had no problems with me watching scary movies because I would sleep through the night. Like, I just watched another movie. But when, like, I watched Hellraiser, which was the battle that we had, like, can I watch it? Can I not watch it? I watched Hellraiser. No, actually, that was before the battle. It was after Hellraiser, because I think Hellraiser was the movie that made my sister want to sleep in the bed with them that night. But when I saw Hellraiser, you gotta think at this time, this is like almost the first of its kind in a way. And so I was looking at the costume like, wow, like somebody actually did this. Like, I'm connecting, I'm still not really understanding, but at the same time, I'm like looking at it and connecting the dots, like Pinhead. Like, I'm like, because I remember thinking like, how do they do that? Like, how do they put that together? And like just looking at the other, I guess, demons, whatever you want to call them. I'm like, how do they do that? Like, because I'm still, I don't understand prosthetics and stuff like that. And then I love like the costumes were like kind of goth, and they were leather. It was just a lot that went into it. And I'm just thinking like those are like pretty much those were dope costumes. And so that's when really a real, I think, obsession began that I can remember. There was always obsessions, but like in horror costume, I love horror, so I could understand. I honestly say Hellraiser was the first horror film that got me obsessed with horror films, and then I watched a documentary on how Halloween was made, and that was it. I was I was done. I became obsessed with horror films. So at the time, I didn't fully realize what I love, but I know now. But now I know. Yes, I love fashion. Like, I used to be obsessed with fashion, but more so when I got older, I realized that I was in love with characters and character building, and that spark started at home with my dad at the center of it all. I credit my father, Uriel Brown, for shaping my favorite movie genres: comedy, horror, thrillers, action, and yes, a little drama too. Oh, and we cannot forget his like I think his all-time favorite movie was Lean on Me. Let me tell y'all something, cuz for those of you who wasn't there back then, we have VHS tapes and we could record our movies or we could record something on the VHS tapes. And when he had a VHS tape with Lean on Me on it, one of his favorite films, somebody recorded over Lean on Me. And I think they recorded videos. To this day, we don't know who did it. We nobody knows who did it, and we did not. There wasn't a day that we did not hear about somebody recording over "Lean on Me." And then for one of the Father's Day, we decided we bought him the official "Lean on Me" VHS tape, "Lean on Me" tape. He never opened it and watched it. He was happy that he got it. I mean, we still didn't hear, we didn't, then it didn't end hearing about somebody recording over his tape.
Mr. Clark don't play.
But at that point, all was forgiven. And so he got his Lean on Me. The mystery still lives on. I don't know who recorded over that tape, but that was a funny moment. Like, I still chuckle about that. Like, who recorded over the tape? It could have been me. I don't know. This episode is dedicated to my father, Uriel Brown, who unknowingly sent me on the path I walk today. Thank you for the memories, the movie nights, the genres you passed down to me, and the way you helped me to see beyond the screen. And rest in peace. Rest in heavenly peace. And to all the fathers out there making little big moments with your kids, happy Father's Day to you. You never know you never know what memories will stick or what dreams you're shaping just by being present. And happy Father's Day.
Like to